My name is Eleanor Shippen. I am the co-chair for the new professional and student committee here at NCPH, and today I am joined by Fiona Owens, who is the class representative for our master's degree. So Fiona, can you tell us a little bit more about our master's program?
Absolutely. So the Winchester program in American Material Culture is one of two programs run at the Winchester Museum in north of Wilmington, Delaware, and is run by the University of Delaware. So really the highlight of our program is that you have the opportunity to learn directly from curators and museum professionals in a real museum setting. You are given access to the collections and access to the property and to the library and to its resources in order both to research directly and to learn directly from these professionals. It's really a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah, and so our program is a little bit interesting in that the first year we're based really at the museum itself. We are learning from the collections, and because we're specializing in material culture, which is essentially historical objects, and what we do with them is we learn about how we can talk about the past through them, and then the people that use them and the ways that they were produced. So our first year is really characterized by a series of classes dedicated to looking at like furniture and prints and paintings and just really diving into these materials in depth. And our second year, which we are both second year students right now, is dedicated to writing the thesis that we have been working on and kind of thinking about through the first year. But now we are dedicated to that, and we're using the skill sets that we have developed through this program
Yes.
in this. And so part of the other skills that we're applying to our work in different capacities is like what Fiona said, working at the museum and actually having opportunities to do like shifts, guiding visitors through the space, and then also you can do like school tours and things like that. We also do hands-on history carts, so there's a lot of different opportunities for public history.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But there's, ways that you can also try and work it into different projects. Like for my thesis, I'm really trying to find a way to give back to community and think about that through my work. So yeah, and another fun fact, we both went to Canadian
We
universities
did, yes.
for undergrad, so we can talk a little bit about that. But I would say if you have any specific questions, definitely refer to the Graduate Student Navigator. That will have a section about international students that are applying for American master's and PhD
Yes.
programs. But we can speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, we can. I also want to add that one of the things that I like to tell people, especially if you're not familiar with the area, is to look into the resources because this is Delaware and this like southern like Philadelphia region is really like awash with resources for you as students and researchers. And you're not limited to those. Eleanor has an internship with Delaware 250. I have an internship with the Delaware Art Museum. And we have classmates also with internships and connections outside of Winchester. And of
Yeah.
course, there are a lot of resources at the University of Delaware. I sometimes work with the Mark Samuels Lasner collection, which is like a Parapholite collection at UD. So definitely, if you are coming from outside the area and are not familiar, much like we're talking about with the Canadian universities, definitely take a look at what else you might be interested around Winchester because they're open to that also.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, applying from Canadian universities, I went to McGill, and you went to the University of Victoria.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say the process, at least for me, was not particularly difficult. I think the struggle is moving so far.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the program has been great. It's an 8-person program, and we do get a lot of our program administrators, especially Catherine is so wonderful. Catherine Dan Rober is one of our coordinators, and she's very good about helping people move to the area and finding places to live. And we also have a housing handbook where we give out that information also.
And that's something that can look pretty different in different graduate degrees. Like since we're doing a terminal master's, so that's only a 2-year program, not leading to a PhD, our cohort is pretty small. It's just a group of 8 people. And then one of the other very unique and like a part of the program that we're really thankful for is the fact that it is fully funded. And so that is something that you really need to consider about, where you see yourself going in the future. No pressure to figure that out now, but just a good thing to think about. And then just, understanding your financial kind of status when you are going to pursue a graduate degree, because that is something that it's really easy to feel like if you don't have the money maybe for these types of programs that you don't have the ability to do a graduate degree.
Yes, we're lucky that our tuition is fully covered and that we receive a stipend from the University of Delaware, which allows us to cover food and housing. It really is tremendously lucky, and definitely something to consider when applying.
Yeah, and our program is classified as a fellowship, and so that
Yes.
might be something to keep an eye out if you're looking for different types of graduate degrees. But again, our program, since it's based out of the museum, we're covered by funding that also comes from the museum.
Yes, my apologies.
No, it's okay. They're all interconnected.
They are, yeah.
It makes it a really interesting kind of program to navigate in the fact that like we're not, we have classes at the University of Delaware, but so many more of the people that we connect with and really have in our support system are based at the museum. And so again, it's kind of nice to have the hybrid environment, but sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to navigate, who do I go to when I need help with writing? Or if I have career questions, who am I going to ask? And so, of course, when you have your graduate advisor, then that can kind of be someone who helps you and is in your corner. But it has been something that, we've navigated and that's just part of the nature of our program.
One of the other opportunities that I wanted to highlight, especially from a public history viewpoint, is we have opportunities. Winchester provides a lot of opportunities for travel. We have 4 trips. We have the trip to the UK, to England, really, and that's called British Design History. We also have a northern and a southern field study trip, and our final trip is to New York for Americana Week, amongst the auction houses. And that's really fantastic, not just because it's not like a fun paid vacation, it is a learning opportunity. And if you are someone really invested in public history, it's a great way to see how different histories in different areas are being presented to the public and what challenges they are facing. We talked about that a lot, talking about like plantations and interpretations in the South, but also how to maybe differently handle that topic in the North, with Northern slavery. And so we've had a lot of really fruitful public history discussions along those lines.
Yeah, it has definitely been very much at the foremost of our conversations because when you're going to all these museums, then you're also meeting different types of museum professionals and all of the different roles that they hold. You can learn a lot just by asking them and having them, sometimes even we have the museum studies certificate. And so that's a way that, through the University of Delaware, you can kind of pursue a little bit more specialized museum education as well. Which is helpful. And that might be a good thing to think about, which type of program you're interested in. If you, really, really love working in museums, maybe a PhD program in something like could be helpful, or maybe it would be something that, you want to just continue with your education and see what happens after that. Like there's so many different opportunities for figuring out what you want to do and learning from different professionals.
We also have the certificate in historic preservation, and that's not a career path I had really considered previously, but it is such a useful skill and such an important skill, and definitely opens up a lot of possibilities and avenues, I think, those classes.
Yeah. I mean, public history is such a big umbrella.
It really is.
Great.
You can encompass everything.
So I think on the surface, when I first started, because I was familiar with public history going to Winchester and starting the program, I was like, how are these objects like relating to what, I want to do, where I'm like working with the public and having these great conversations with visitors in exhibit spaces. And then it was like, well, a lot of those conversations are about what we're learning to do, right? So spending time looking at, like my little Snoopy mug right here, is something that could actually help me, talk a little bit more about American history and how we like use objects because they're so, just
they mean things to people.
They do.
It's so easy to look and be like, oh, who cares about a Windsor chair or whatever.
Right.
But then you learn what those objects mean to people and how they were used. I was talking with a classmate of mine the other day who studies Black vernacular photography, and he was talking about how it's opened sort of different viewpoints for him because he's able to really understand the ways in which people have been self-fashioning with the objects that they use in their photography. So I think I come from an art history background. If it wasn't a painting, I didn't care. Not true, but like, and so it's opened avenues for me as well in understanding connections between the fine art world and the design world. And really having that bigger picture view.
Yeah, it's really amazing how much you can learn from your cohort. And
Yeah.
ours is very small, and at times it can feel like, you get to know each other a little bit too well.
Especially on
But
the trips, yeah.
yeah, especially on the trips. And that's something that's going to look different at every type of program. And it's also good to know like how you like to work. Do you want to be in a social setting? Like, are you working in
Yes.
the student lounge and you just like want to be chatting to folks as you're typing up a paper? Or do you want to be in the library? Please don't talk to me for a little bit and then kind of like come back up
Yeah.
and check in with people. So, just having that understanding of where your like workspace is and what you want to get out of your degree is really great. When you're working with other people in your program. So,
What I also think is great along those lines is you have a
yeah.
lot of different housing options. This area goes from very urban to very rural really quickly for some reason.
Yeah.
And so we live in the countryside, but 20 minutes away, you can live in downtown Wilmington. So there's a lot of options in that way as well. So just to put that out there for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's everything.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any like key takeaway from your time at Winchester thus far? Because we are in our second year and then
Yes,
wrapping up
I know.
soon.
I think key takeaways are that, I mean, you came up with this metaphor,
Mm,
but it's so useful, is that Winchester is like a fruit basket or a gift basket.
yeah.
And they're going to offer you a lot of opportunities. There'll also be a lot of opportunities in the surrounding region, and you get to try a little bit of everything and pick and choose to some degree. But that means that you need to come in a self-directed way in which, although you should be open to all of these things, you know that you try all those things, you discover what you're interested in and what path you want to follow, and then it's your road. And
Yeah.
then you need to take charge and like take the reins.
Yeah. Yeah, I think honestly that applies to a lot of programs.
Yes.
It's one of those things that we found it an especially relevant metaphor just because of the Winchester program wanting us to have this baseline knowledge in American decorative arts and material culture. But I would agree that that's also been my takeaway. And then also recognizing that, grad school is hard, but if you think about what you want to get out of it, I would really say lean into that as a source of strength. And then also like you will know if it's not a right fit. Like make sure you're checking in with yourself and like talking to your support system and doing your due diligence. And so again, not to keep hyping us up or anything, but I would really recommend checking out the Graduate Student Navigator, the Graduate Student Handbook for public history programs. And there are a lot more like specific questions in there. And I think a few of my other committee members talk a little bit more about what the handbook can do and how it can be of use to you. So thank you so much for stopping by our booth.
Yes. And if you have any questions about the Winchester program, obviously we have our website, but we also have a Instagram that you can check out, Material Culture Winchester. And I also very much recommend our blog, Material Matters, if you want to get an idea of what sort of research we do and what the trips look like a little bit.
All right, well, have a good rest of your time at the Grad Student Fair.
Enjoy.
Bye.